Mike Callahan here with a quick video about the new sales approach. Well, actually, it's really not new. We've been doing it 5 or 6 years, but this is actually starting to catch some traction through lifecycle marketing and video content. So the way we attack our sales now is really not a sales approach at all. It's an educational and upfront conversation we have with our consumers and our potential consumers, and it's done in a 4-pronged approach. First thing is we answer the questions that people have asked us. So in the left-hand corner are some examples of videos I made several years ago. I was at Home Depot or Lowe's here, and I went and talked about what kind of spreader you should use when treating your lawn, the pros and cons of a drop spreader and a rotary spreader, and literally broke out the details of each type of spreader if the consumer was doing it themselves. Another commonly asked question we got in the spring was, when should we take down pre-emergent crabgrass control and what are the benefits of that? So I broke down the benefits of crabgrass control and actually how you should put down the timing of it. So we want to be answering the questions that our consumers are constantly asking us, especially the ones that we think are, let's say, quote unquote, the dumbest questions because we know the answer. Well, if we are not a professional in the industry, these aren't commonly asked questions or commonly known answers. So we want to provide that value and avoid the consumer going to Google and looking for the answers. Let's provide the answer and be the local topic expert. So when they're ready to make that buying decision, they're going to us first. Next thing is how to protect yourself as a consumer. These are fear-based things that, well, let's honest, contractors don't have the best reputation sometimes. So the upper left-hand corner here over my right-hand shoulder is a pile of snow that a contractor had just mulched around. So this was early spring. I was out doing some estimates, and in order probably to get some work done and get some payroll moving, this contractor had actually mulched around a snowbank. So I made a video, how to protect yourself and what questions you need to ask before hiring a lawn care professional and the timing of their services, especially in the spring in the Northeast. This is a question that most people don't want to answer, but by doing this up front, a lot of consumers became to know, like, and trust us and trusted us as the experts protecting them to ask and tell them what questions to ask before hiring a contractor. Other one up here to the right up top is a drain that was literally in front of a really popular burger joint in town, and the contractor had installed a drain. And if anybody's familiar with the Northeast, snow melts and refreezes. So they basically created a situation where they would stack the snow over by this garbage can here, and every time the snow melted, it would melt and refreeze right in front of the walkway of the door. So I talked about what consumer or commercial property managers can do to protect themselves when hiring a contractor for drainage and when hiring a snow plow, a removal expert, where to stack snow and store it so if it melts, it doesn't refreeze in traffic areas. Bottom left-hand corner, the good and the not so good. The left-hand corner here was that we had one of our trucks blow a transmission, if I remember right. We went on and basically told our consumers up front what was going on and how we were handling it with some subcontractors and condensing some routes to get the job done as quickly as possible. But instead of hiding behind this fact, we went out and told them what we were doing proactively to give them the best possible service. After a quick burst of snow here in the bottom left right-hand video, we gave them an update on the conditions outside and how we were addressing the late snowfall right at rush hour with ice. So we were trying to keep constant communication and give them the good and bad news up front so they didn't have to call the office and ask. And the final part is educational how-to content. We made and created videos internally to educate our consumer what they should be looking for in training processes when they go out and hire a professional. So the bottom left one here is the things you need to share with your current lawn care provider if they're not doing it. When using a zero-turn mower, and the right-hand side is step-by-step directions how to prune your shrubs this spring. So these are great educational videos to make you the expert locally and create a higher perceived value of the service and overcome any sales or price objections. And as an added bonus, we took these videos that we used for our consumers, chunked them up, and made internal training videos so we could replicate the business owner and manager and allow our employees or future employees go through online video training that was automated before we ever got them in the field. So if you have any comments or questions, my new approach, or I guess really not new approach, but something we do in the last 5 or 6 years, but a new sales approach that's being publicized now in the last 12 to 6 months, that the old way of sales isn't working. I'm here to tell you over the last 4 to 5 years that we've been doing this, the old way of sales and being basically a sleazy car salesman is not working. We need to go out and answer the questions consumers are asking, show them how to protect themselves and address the fears in hiring contractor. We need to address the good and the not so good and give them educational content that creates a higher perceived value, overcomes any sales or price objections, and makes you the local expert that people go to when they're ready to have their lawn care